Top 10 countries that produces most cars. Many people are passionate about cars. They wanted to make it unique as possible, so they started to discover different ways to produce one. From scratch to finish, producing a car is never an easy task. While making a car, they might have experienced a bleeding knuckle or a broken finger and has wrestled on the seat track. But thanks to advanced technologies, more companies from different countries are now producing different types of cars in the market. But did you happen to realize which country produces most cars that people use today? In today's video, we'll give you a quick tour of our top 10 countries that produces most cars. But before we proceed, make sure to subscribe and share this with your friends who are so in love with cars. Honking on our 10th spot is Russia. Car production is very significant in Russia. The Russian Empire had a long list of progress in developing machinery. In fact, in the early 18th century, the first two-cylinder steam engine in the world was constructed by a Russian citizen, Ivan Polsunov. One of the world's first tracked vehicles was invented by Fyodor A. Blinov in 1877, while the great Ivan P. Kulibin has created the human-powered vehicle that had a flywheel, a brake, a gearbox, and roller bearings. In 1896, the Russian petrol engine automobile was manufactured by Yakolev and Freze Company. In this era, Russia has been employing around 600,000 people and supports around 2 to 3 million people for its automotive industry. In 2018, Russia has produced 1,767,674 of vehicles. There are local brands that produce light vehicles and leading heavy vehicles such as AvtoVAZ, GAZ, and KAMAZ. Aside from that, 11 foreign countries choose to have their production and construction operations in Russia. The current president, Vladimir Putin, has taken a personal interest in the automotive industry, which symbolizes his support. There are currently 10 car manufacturers in Russia, and now, 2020, Russia continues to rise in the automotive industry, producing 1.52 million units just recently. On our 9th spot is France, which is currently producing 1.68 million units of car yearly. France had consistently been the fourth largest from the end of World War II up to the year 2000. It was also the pioneer in the automotive industry. In 1770, the world's first automotive was built by Joseph Cugnot and named it Fardier Vapor. Just like Russia, France has been a great part of the success of building the first automobiles. Car manufacturers in France are classified into 3 groups: the major, minor, and microcar manufacturers. The major current manufacturers are Citroën DS Automobiles, Peugeot, and Renault, while minor manufacturers are Acmat Alpine, Overland, Bugatti, Leclerc, De La Chapelle, Hexagon Motors, PGO, and Venturi. The current microcar manufacturers are Aixam, Belier, Ligier, Mega, MDI, and Microcar. No doubt they can produce as many cars as they wish. Next is Brazil on the 8th spot. The Brazilian automotive industry began with a Chevrolet, which played off the assembly line in 1925. Believe it or not, the Brazilian automotive industry had competed with the Latin American, to be specific, Mexico and Argentina, till 1960. During the year 1990, many automotive companies have settled and opened factories in Brazil, such as Nissan, Renault, Peugeot, Citroën, Honda, Hyundai, Mitsubishi, Chrysler, and Audi. Based on 2020 statistics, Brazil has been producing 2.45 million units of vehicles. Currently, the most successful and original Brazilian automobile company among Agrale and TAC is the Troller in its T4 and Pantanal models. There are also numerous foreign-owned car manufacturers in Brazil, such as BMW, Caterpillar, BYD, CAOA Chery, AFA Motors, Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, Ford do Brasil, General Motors do Brasil, Honda, Hyundai, CAOA Brazil, Iveco, Jack Motors do Brasil, John Deere, Karmann Komatsu, Lifan, Mahindra, Mercedes-Benz, Mitsubishi, Nissan, PSA, Renault do Brazil, Suzuki, Toyota, Valtra, Volvo, Yamaha, and Subaru. What more can a Brazilian ask for if they have this so many cars to choose from? It has been attracting inventors from main global automakers. Last 2012, the Innovar Auto Program was approved by the decree with the theoretical goals of influencing automakers to produce more fuel-efficient cars and invest in the national automotive industry by managing the taxation exemptions. However, it was criticized by many of it allegedly calls for protectionism. Driving on our seventh spot is Spain. In 1898, the early Spanish manufacturers, a world-class brand like Hispano-Suiza, was included on the list of top-ranking car manufacturers, as well as the smaller companies such as Elizarde or Ricart. During the 1920s, foreign makers of automobiles started to set up local support, and by the year 1936, the industry had reached a significant volume that continues to grow and modernize. But the Spanish Civil War interrupted this and resulted in a decade of economic isolation. But despite the bitter occurrences, Spain rose and now listed number 6 in the world. Recent statistics shows that Spain has been producing 2.48 million units of cars. Our sixth-in spot proves that it continues to rise in the automotive industry. United States. Last year, 2.8 million cars were assembled in the US, and during the same year, passenger cars in the United States kicked 4.7 million worldwide. According to the Transportation Logistics, Ford is the best-selling car among other brands in the US, with a global revenue of $155.9 billion. The current big three manufacturers of the US are General Motors Sport, which has 4 famous brands, Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, also with 4 known brands, and Ford Motor Company with 2 strong brands. Currently, there are 15 other companies producing cars in the US, all of them contributing to the latest production of 2.51 million units of cars. For a fun fact, there are roughly 1,800 car brands in the United States, but only a few survived the tough and competitive market. We are halfway to our countdown. Following the US on the 5th spot is South Korea. Korean's history of assembling cars started in the August of 1955. It started with the Korean businessman Choi Moo-seong and his 2 brothers who created the localized version of Jeep made of junk oil drum and military parts. They called it Sibal, which New Go or New Start when translated in English. To start with the industry of automobile, the Korean government announced a promotion policy in 1962, as well as the Protection Act to protect the infant industry. Foreign automakers were banned to operate in Korea unless it's a joint venture and should come up with a local name. This effort allowed the industry to grow and modernize. Now, Korea has 12 big car manufacturers, namely Hyundai Motor Company, Kia Motors, SsangYong Motor Company, General Motors Korea, Renault Samsung Motors, Tata Daewoo, Alfion, Asia Motor, Proto Motors, Daewoo Motors, GM Daewoo, and Edison Motors. Based on statistics, from 2011 up to 2018, South Korea has manufactured a total of 4.03 million units of vehicles. When South Korea was in its early operations, it was merely assembling car parts imported from foreign companies. But today, South Korea is among the most futuristic automobile-producing countries in the world. India is in our 4th spot. The first car ran on the Indian road during 1897. In the 1930s, cars were only imported and small in number. But when automotive industry emerged in India in the 1940s, many automobile companies were established. But in 1953, an import substitution program was launched and restriction was made to forbid fully built-up cars to enter the Indian land. This opened an opportunity for local car brands to rise. Maruti Suzuki is the largest automobile manufacturer in India. It holds 53% in the market share for Indian passenger cars. There are now a total of 42 car brands in India, and based on the recent statistics, India produces 3.62 million units of vehicles. Impressive number. On our third spot is Germany. The beginning of the history of the German automobile industry started with the invention of the four-stroke internal combustion engine in the 1870s. It was invented by the mechanic engineers Karl Benz and Nikolaus Otto. After that, Germany started to produce about 1,000 vehicles every year. Currently, 5 German big companies dominate the automotive industry in the country. Based on the 2016 census, there are over 857,336 labor force that works in the automobile industry. Germany is also one of the largest employers in the world and home of the modern car. Its automobile industry was regarded as the most competitive and innovative in the world. There are 6 major car plants in Germany, which follow the principle function over form. German car brands are known for their functionality and quality, which lead Germany to be the leader of the auto production in Europe. Based on statistics, Germany is now producing 4.66 million units of vehicles. Most of the popular cars are BMW, Volkswagen, Mercedes-Benz, Audi, and Porsche, which greatly influence the standard of automobiles worldwide. Coming right after Germany is our second runner-up, Japan. Surprisingly, 18% of all manufactured vehicles came from Japan. Why? Because the automotive industry of Japan is one of the largest and leading among other countries. Japan's automotive industry hits rapidly from the 1970s to the 1990s. It even overtook the United States as the production leader, thanks to the Japanese investments that helped the industry to grow not just in its territory, but in many countries throughout the past few decades. If Germany is the home of modern vehicles, Japan is the home to a huge number of companies that produce cars, construction vehicles, ATVs, and engines. Cars in Japan bags the award for European Car of the Year, International Car of the Year, plus World Car of the Year multiple times. The car manufacturers from Japan are Toyota, Honda, Daihatsu, Nissan, Suzuki, Mazda, Mitsubishi, Subaru, Isuzu, Yamaha, Infiniti, Acura, Lexus, Kawasaki, and Mitsuoka. Japan impressively produced 8.33 million units of vehicle. Do you have a guess which country produces most cars? Could it be from an American territory or part of Asia? Yes, you're right. It's part of Asia, and among other countries, it has maintained its big 4 traditional domestic car manufacturers. Honking loud and proud is our first spot, China. It almost tripled the number of cars being produced by Japan. China currently produces 21.36 million car units around the world. It has maintained its traditional big 4 domestic car manufacturers are SAIC Motor, FAW, Changan, and Dongfeng. It also has minor manufacturers such as Geely, Beijing Automotive Group, Brilliance Automotive, Guangzhou Automobile Group, Great Wall, BYD, Jianghuai or JAC, and Chery. There are also several partnerships between multinational and domestic manufacturers, which makes China globally competitive. However, several Chinese car makers are accused of copying designs of other companies like Lexus, Toyota, GM Daewoo, Fiat, Range Rover, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. How true is that? Imagine the number of cars being assembled every day and the large number of people willing to buy them. Do you think it will cause more traffic jams in the future? Or would it be solved with their production of flying cars? Let's see. This sums up our countdown for the top 10 countries that produce most cars. Join us again next time for another exciting and informative video. Share us below your comments and your thoughts about today's countdown, and give us a thumbs up if you like it.